how long it takes to rank a website in a medium competition niche with white hat SEO only. So that's a really big question. It's going to depend on a ton of things, right? Um, and it also depends like what you really mean by white hat SEO. So, some people, when they talk about white hat SEO, they mean literally they're going to write a bunch of content and optimize the on-page SEO on their website, and they're not going to do anything else. And then it's eventually, maybe people will
Okay,
decide to rank or link to it, and
share
it'll
it.
eventually
Yeah.
rank. So if you're doing that, it could be a very long time to maybe even never, right? Um, then there's other white hat SEOs who realize that they need backlinks to rank. And so they will do outreach, maybe themselves. Uh, and that entails, you're reaching out to websites, and most of the time it's going to involve money. But basically, you're trying to
Which is
secure,
technically not white hat.
yeah, which is technically not white hat, but it's just the way the world works. They just call it outreach, and the website might even call it something else, like, oh, well, we have like $100 admin fee
Yeah,
to post content. Oh, okay, so we're not buying a link; we're paying their admin fee, whatever.
right.
So yeah, it really all depends, like what you consider white hat link building, what you can, or how many, like what your budget is, or how many people you have like working on this project. Um, and unless we get some more information about like what you got going on, also your what niche you're in. I don't know really what you mean by medium competition. It's just kind of a really big question. I
For
don't think we
this
can really
question,
answer.
for, you know, I'm gonna just say it. This question is not it's not a question that anybody can answer without being full of it. Because medium competition is determined by so many different variables and how you're gauging what medium competition is. White hat SEO is dependent on so many different variables in aspects to, what kind of white hat you are, like Chris said. And then even if you're doing it pure white hat, where you're just waiting on things to go viral, it's going to be determined by how viral that went. And then, whether that's enough to go against your competition for that particular niche. So anytime a question starts, how long it takes to rank, well, you don't, I mean, we've talked about this a lot. Typically, um, you're going to be me, for example. I'm going to be looking for things to resonate with the way I do things, with the recipes that I use to rank websites from ground up. I'm going to have a 4 to 6 month timeline where I want to see a certain amount of movement. And that's what you should be gauging more so, is if I'm on a fresh domain that has zero everything in Ahrefs, then I'm going to set up goal sets on what I'd like to see 3 months from now, then 6 months from now, whatever. But the idea is I want to see a slow, gradual um, amount of stuff resonating in the SERPs for that particular asset, right? And so the question, how long does it take to rank, cannot be answered. It's not how you do SEO anymore. You can come up with estimates for for how long you're willing to work on something for it to rank. Um, but yeah, anybody that tells you that they know the exact time frame for something to get ranked, it's they're just not taking everything into account. What you want to see is gradual movement across the SERPs working towards your goal set. And especially if you're doing, and he says now, or they say now, sorry, that they mean white hat link building. So guest posts, maybe niche edits, citations, whatever, but white hat link building. Um, well, you can do some damage by
But
adding
like
links,
if,
but
if it
remember
was
that that's not
us,
actual white hat.
so well, it just depends what they consider white hat. I
Right.
consider I consider it.
Well, I'm
I
saying
I actually
Google's
consider
idea
it.
of white hat is
Yeah. It's
Nothing.
hard because you're walking this line of actually just blatant honesty and
Yeah.
so blatant the truth of the matter is if you are trying to get backlinks for the purpose of increasing your rankings, it's not white hat.
Yeah.
But we can, everyone considers it white hat these days, so who are we to really argue against that?
Sure.
um hey Adrian, what's up? um
What up?
But, okay, so if it was us and we wanted to rank a website in a medium competition niche using quote white hat SEO, which we're just going to say is like outreach, basically doing stuff like guest posts and maybe some niche edits. We'll say no PBN, of course, no spam, no auto-generated shit. I'm guessing this is what you kind of mean by white hat. If you're talking about that, we could rank a site in a medium competition niche pretty quickly if we were like really going at it hard. Maybe we start on an aged auction domain, and we pump out. We get a team of writers, and we have 100, 200, 300 articles put up, and we start spending 5K a month on link building. We can get that thing starting to rank like pretty quickly. And that would be white hat at scale, using teams of people to do stuff. But I'm guessing what you mean is you're with a 1K budget. Does that include content and backlinks? Um, if you're
And
talking about,
monthly.
and are you starting on a new website, or are you starting on like an aged domain or an expired domain, which has already started coming back to life? I'll go ahead and kind of pause here and let him answer. He's answering pretty quick.
Sure. One thing I noticed is like I've been answering this from the perspective of the question being medium competition keyword, but I see now that it's medium competition niche. So
So,
only backlinks.
so 1K a month, only backlinks. It kind of depends on like where the site's currently at right
I
now,
would
because like
probably,
for example, we had a site come into our managed link building program pretty recently. Um, and I think their budget was either 1K or might have even been less. And they have a ton of content on the site, and they already have a good amount of links. They just weren't very good at all. And with 1K or a month of guest posts and niche edits, the site is flying. And I actually made a post about this one because it actually cracked 1 million traffic, which you don't really see too often. And especially with a smaller budget like that, it was just really cool to see it happen. But that's also not exactly super commonplace.
no.
The site, they obviously did a good job writing their content. They had a ton of content, like I said, and the site it was basically ready to go, right? It was already ranking for everything, just not very well. Google knew exactly what the site was about. We just needed to push it basically with what it was missing, right? Which was some nice authorities and nice relevant backlinking. Um, and yeah, we got some nice movement out of it. But if you're starting from square one and Google doesn't really know what your site is at all yet, if you're all zeros and Ahrefs and you're just starting with $1,000 a month on link building while you're also writing your content, everything, it could be some time before you start seeing any kind of movement at all,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really have anything to do with the quality of the backlinks or anything. It just kind of it can take some time for Google to really establish this base layer of trust. Some people
Hmm.
call this the sandbox. We don't really look at it as in a sandbox kind of way. Um, but realistically, $1,000 a month, depending on what types of links you're buying. But let's say $1,000 a month. If you're getting like super like high tier links, this can only be a few links a month. Um, yeah, like I said, depending on what type of links you're getting, which obviously could take some time to really build up this kind of network of trust where your site's getting crawled and Google's kind of established you as um, being worthy of ranking. Um,
Let me just give you a blueprint for what I would do from a ground up real quick. So I bought a new site. I'm in a particular niche that I think is accessible, right? So fresh site. I don't know if you've got content on this site or how much, but I would heavily work as far as budgets go. Am I frozen again?
No, you're good.
Okay. As far as budgets go, I would heavily work on content up front. And my backlinking would be a minority amount of that. And it would go towards exclusively backlinks with naked branded natural anchors going directly to the homepage, right? And I would build up my content within that niche as best I can. I'd really try and blow that out. And then once, typically by only going to the homepage with natural and branded type anchors, you're going to get your website to resonate out of that quote sandbox period a little bit easier or more quickly. And once you see that lift off in Ahrefs, you can slowly, and I mean slowly, use some of this backlink budget to go a little heavier to inner pages using maybe some money anchors, right? But the liftoff would be backlinks to your homepage while this content is being built out, while the website is taking shape, right? Because that's what the algorithm is going to do, is it's going to read all this content. It's going to see that the site is actively being built on, worked on, and it's going to start painting the picture of what this website's about, right? Whatever niche you've found that you think you've got access via the competition, you consider medium competition. And then that backlinking style is also going to resonate as very white hat. Even if you used a PBN or two here and there, right? If you're doing it with naked or branded type anchors to the homepage, it's less likely that you're going to get popped or feel anything off that, even if you get a D-index, which is the interesting thing. So use white hat tactics as far as homepage, and naked branded natural type anchors like click here, go to this website, check out their options, etc. And then you're looking for that liftoff in Ahrefs before you get a little bit more aggressive with it. But if you stick to that, and then the goal set is, okay, I want to see some solid movement in the SERPs where I'm, quote, out of sandbox, and Google is starting to, test me in the SERPs, test my website in the SERPs. Then you've officially hit the next level that you're supposed to be on for becoming an authority in that niche, right? And so it goes in stages. Imagine what a business naturally does, which is they're focused, if they don't even know what backlinks do, how they work, etc., they're focused exclusively on content and then sharing that content through their socials and stuff like that. And then adding the backlinks to the homepage, etc., from a natural business building standpoint is going to be, your citations, your social signals, your social profiles, forum links, that kind of stuff. And of course, if some press comes alongside that, then that's great too. But I hope that's not too confusing.
Yeah,
But
so
it's how I would start off.
very long answer, and we kind of went off the rails there a bit. If you're not in
Nice.
our Facebook group already, TNT, be sure to join us, SEO Roundtable, because I'm assuming you're going to have a lot more questions along the way. And we're very active in there. We never take more than a day generally to answer a question if you post it in our Facebook group rather than the live stream being once a week. Or we can definitely give more detailed answers here or even show you some stuff on the screen. But yeah, be sure you're in the Facebook group so you can ask questions whenever you want. I'll just add one more thing as well. Just by the fact you answering this or asking this question, I'm assuming you're quite new to SEO. I would try to move away from establishing real timelines for yourself and expect things to take a long time. I would expect, I would just say, plan for things to take a minimum of 6 months to a year, and don't get frustrated if things aren't starting to pop as quickly as you had hoped for them to do. There's a lot of hopium in the SEO community where people sell you on making money on the internet. It's easy, it's fast. I did this in 2 months or whatever. When it's your first rodeo and you're just really getting started with stuff, it takes a long time, and you're gonna mess stuff up. You're gonna mess so much stuff up. You're gonna do things wrong. You're going to, yeah. I mean, you're
The insecurity factor is the
Yeah, so
hardest
just
thing. Where you're like, oh, I did this, but now I'm not sure I did it right. And, and then you go back and you're altering your content and doing a lot of stuff. But yeah, Google doesn't give fast reactions to this stuff because it's shaking out the people that are going to think that things aren't working, right? So even for me, with the recipes I have, I'm not expecting to get into profit for, at least 6 months. And typically it takes a little
and
bit
that's
longer
coming
than
from
that.
someone who's been doing this for a while.
And I'm not talking about rankings, right? But
So yeah, just plan on it taking a long time. I would say 6 months to a year, and yeah, and just treat it more as a learning experience rather than why am I not ranked yet type experience. It's just there's gonna be a lot of stuff that you learn along the way and a lot of mistakes that you need to make before you're able to really start being able to do things in a way where you can put expected time frames, on ETA, on when I'm going to rank for this search volume of a keyword and this niche and yada yada.
and I think another resource we should send you to, based on you talking about, I don't know what you're basing medium competition off of, would be our keyword research guides on how we pick less competitive targets to go after. Because if you're basing it off of just like Ahrefs competition, then it's there's no really like solid algorithm on competition. You can use it as sort of like a blanket, and you can kind of go down that. But as far as actually finding low competition SERPs, we manually do it. So yeah, we've got some bits of content that might help you out there as well.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to check the description below for links to our blog for more info on this topic, along with a bunch of other cool stuff like case studies, our Facebook community, and our link building services. And like always, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell if you enjoyed the video. Thanks and happy ranking.